stepped on my microphone, and I had it on when I thought it was off, and now I think it's on, right? Now, as I read this story to you, I want you to pretend that you've never, ever heard it before. And I want you not to think about Luke's gospel. I want you not to think about Luke's story of the birth of Jesus. Because Matthew's story is a whole different story. It paints a completely different picture. So erase your minds. Well, not the whole thing, just part of it. And listen. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. Well, they told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Quote unquote. Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." And when they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Thus ends the reading of the word. You know, Gene Roddenberry attests to how much we love space and stars with his series Star Trek, which I actually started to watch back in 1968 when it was syndicated and in repeats. You remember my favorite thing was the opening of that show where William Shatner's voice is saying, "Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Their mission to go out and discover new worlds, to discover new civilizations and new life, to boldly go where no man has ever gone before." When we look at the Magoi, as Matthew calls them in his story, they are not three kings. They are wise men from the east. They are from probably Persia. and they are followers probably of Zoroaster, and they are about as distant religiously as you could possibly get from Israel. They read the stars. What they see are events that are going to occur, they believe, on earth by reading the stars. They see a star in the night sky that beckons to them. How many of you know what your natal star is? Yes, you do, Joe. If I ask you your astrological sign, you're going to say, oh, I'm up. Yeah. Your natal star. You were born under that constellation. Most all of you know it. This is what these astrologers did. They followed the stars in the sky. They studied the stars in the sky. And the star that they saw was a sign to them that an event was happening. What Matthew tells us is the one who was operating behind the scenes was God. That star was put there by God. That's what Matthew wants us to know. These foreigners, who probably couldn't even speak Hebrew or Greek or Aramaic, or maybe had a smattering of it, came from Persia following the star. They showed up in Jerusalem for some reason at King Herod's castle. Now, King Herod, this is not King Herod the Great. This is Herod Antipas, King Herod the Great's son. Now, the Herodians, as they were called, became kings over Israel as client kings. They were clients of the Roman Republic. When the Roman Republic used to, instead of absorbing entire nations and countries into themselves, would establish client states, puppet states, protectorates, vassal states, lots of different names that are used. And in this case, Israel was a client state of the Roman Republic when King Herod the Great, who was an Idumean, was not an Israelite. He was a descendant of Esau, not a descendant of Jacob or Abraham. Well, through Abraham, but through Esau. He was an Idumean. He wasn't even an Israelite. Yet, he understood what it meant to be a king. He understood what it meant to be an Israelite king. King Saul, who was the first of the Israelite kings, was